Welcome to Sisters Before Blisters, Chafing the Dream. Hi, I'm Cheryl.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Colleen.
We're three sisters living in three different countries who thought it would be a brilliant idea to sign up for a 70.3 Ironman triathlon as a relay team.
That's 1.2 miles of swimming, 56 miles of biking, and a half marathon, combined as a team, which sounds totally doable until you remember none of us are spring chickens anymore.
We're documenting every painful, hilarious, inspiring moment of our 13-month journey from what have we done to race day glory, or a complete disaster.
Expect training mishaps, sister drama, expert advice, and proof that the best terrible decisions are made with family. Let's do this. Welcome back to Sisters Before Blisters. If you are new here, we are three sisters training for a half Ironman in three different countries as a relay team. And we're trying to do this together to stay in touch. So I'm Cheryl. I am in Canada and I'm riding the bike.
I'm Christine. I'm the swimmer. I'm from the USA.
I'm Colleen. I'm in Germany and I'll be doing the running.
And in this episode, we are talking about the triathlon race, some transitions and the tidbits in between, and some things that we just need to know before we actually jump on the race course. And today, joining us is our guest, Gary Godula, and he is a race car driver. He's an expert defensive driver, instructor, general motorhead, and an expert triathlete, and he coaches a number of triathletes to do relays, to do the individual pieces. He's created his own training program. So he's been in this world for quite a long time. So welcome, Gary. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Very generous.
Yes. So before we jump in with our guests, let's have a quick update. Christine, Colleen, let's talk about our wins, setbacks, fails, all the good things. Christine, where are you at?
Well, doing okay. When I got over to Germany to visit Colleen and her family, I broke my toe. So not so fun, but it's manageable. I can still walk on it, run on it. So we're just gonna keep going.
So you can swim on it?
Yeah, it hurt a little bit after, but it's okay.
Okay.
Which very colorful.
It was very colorful. It is the middle toe on my right foot.
Lovely.
Yeah.
It was purple. Pretty quick after.
She hit like a metal doorstop that was like this big around and just like solid thing.
Everybody heard it. Everybody heard it pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's painful.
Yeah.
Colleen, how about you?
Figuring out my pelvic floor issues that seem to change weekly.
What do you mean by that?
No, I mean, I'm doing my exercises and stuff, but I don't know if it's like, stopping breastfeeding and hormone changes, then so like there's a process to your hormones regulating, and so they'll go up and they'll go down until they kind of find where they're supposed to be. So I'm not sure like what's an actual like pelvic floor issue and what's a hormone symptom at this point.
Well, and it takes at least, well, what I was told, about 5 years after giving birth.
Yeah, so I just got to be able to get everything as strong as possible so I can get through the run comfortably and be okay. So
and safely. Yeah.
I just have to get there. As long as I'm doing all the right things, I should be fine. But it's just, that kind of like, it's so demoralizing. You're like, oh, I'm so ready. I want to go for a run. I want to go do this. And things don't feel, any injury, things don't feel right. So workouts have been here and there. So not feeling 100% solid about them, but I still have some time to kind of find a good routine. I did get to go for a run with my dog, Oscar. He and I used to run together almost every day when it was just Ian and I and the dog. And so with two kids and another dog added to the mix, he doesn't always get his alone runs with me. So he and I got to go for a good run the other day. So that was a win.
And how long since you've been able to do that with him?
Maybe after Elliot was born, maybe one other time I just took Oscar, but every other time it's either been like, okay, I've gone, but I've taken both dogs, or I've taken one kid, or I've taken both kids and one dog, or both kids and both dogs. So
Okay. So it's been a couple years, and this is that's a big
yeah,
win to be able to
yeah,
go do something you enjoy.
yeah. I would say like 2.5 years. Yeah,
Excellent. Yay.
Mm.
That's a good win.
Yeah,
As far as my stuff, I think mine's more of it's not a fail, it's a bit of a setback, but it happens every year around this time, being in the cold, that my knees they get really stiff, and particularly my right knee swells up, and it's difficult to move. It doesn't really want to bend like it's supposed to. So it's kind of a setback right now, but it's an expected one that I know will resolve as the weather changes and I just keep moving. So not a great
yeah,
win at this point, but to be expected after all the
yeah.
things I've done to my body to beat it up.
All the years of getting beat up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so we're going to do a quick timeout here because Colleen is going to explain our challenge for January, right?
Yes. Yep. So it's super simple. We'll make it easy. I'll put some fun like weekly challenges in there that you do like once a week. But for the month of January, the three of us are going to compete against each other, and anyone can join. Gary, if you have a rower, you can join as well. So we're accumulating as many meters as you possibly can on your rower. So you can, it's at whenever you can get exercise in. If you have a, regimented schedule, maybe you work it into a workout. If you're rowing in a workout, you can count those meters as well. But it's just accumulating as many as you possibly can for the month of January, from the 1st all the way to the 31st.
January 1st to 31st, as many as we can. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Nice and simple. Yep.
And we also have what Fit Factory, are they participating with us?
Yep, they're going to participate with us as well. Yeah, they're going to have their members sign up and do rowing meters as well for the month of January.
Yay,
So
go
we'll
Fit
kind of
Factory.
compete against them as well. So I'll see. V's going to put us on the board, I think, and she'll be able to. That way, we get to compete against them too. They're limited because they have to go in when the gym is open, but they have private access. So like, they don't have to go only when the open hours are. They have a little bit more freedom too.
And
Excellent.
where is Fit Factory located?
Chesterfield, Virginia.
Okay. And the owners are?
V and Brandon Brickner.
Yeah, all right. And they
My
do a lot
good
of
buddies.
functional movements, and they get in some really great workouts. They're highly
Yes.
skilled trainers, running
Yeah.
a great business there. So yay for Fit Factory. Can't wait to compete against the members there. Okay, cool. So are we checking in on a weekly basis so we kind of know where we're at?
Yeah, we're going to check in on a weekly basis.
Okay. All right. So if any of that was confusing, just check the comments below on the YouTube podcast, and the directions and the standings will be below there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Colleen.
Yeah.
And those of you who are listening, if you're looking for ways to support us, we have a GoFundMe that will pay for some of our registration, some of our equipment, some of the expenses that come along with this adventure. So if you are considering supporting us in any way, you can check in the comments below the YouTube version of the podcast, and should be a QR code or a link, and you can support us there. So thank you in advance for that. All right, now let's get into the meat of the good stuff. Okay, let's jump over to Gary. So, Christine, I think you wanted to kick us off with some of your questions.
Yeah, some of the swimming questions. Gary, are you ready?
Sure, hit me.
Okay, so I have not done a large triathlon. I've only done like a super sprint. So a lot of this is very new to me. So these questions may seem silly because I just don't know, but I was told we have a tracker that I put on my leg. Is that accurate?
Yeah, basically
Okay,
it's a GPS, or not GPS, but it is a tracker, yes.
And then do I have to take that off and give that to Cheryl when she goes to the bike?
I believe so.
Okay,
Absolutely.
is there a smooth transition to do that without falling over?
Well, it's Velcro.
It's Velcro, okay.
Usually it's Velcro, and it's the same as a tag you would have on a running race or something. It's just on a Velcro strap wrapped around your
Okay.
leg. And tuck it under the wetsuit.
Okay.
So
Yes, because
Oh.
that was one of my other questions. What happens if it falls off, like in the water?
Blub, blub,
Mhm.
blub, blub,
Blah,
blub,
blah,
blub.
blah. Yeah, that becomes an issue for all the timing and scoring. You'll see a lot of individual athletes will lose them. I usually pin it on, you Velcro
Okay.
and then put a safety pin on top of it, and then I put it under the wetsuit. In your case, since you got to do a handoff, just keep it under the wetsuit, and you just pull
Okay.
up the wetsuit leg, unwrap it, hand it to Cheryl, and when Cheryl's done, she hands it to Colleen.
Okay.
Okay.
Does it matter which leg it's on?
No,
I think
no, you,
I
you,
read
it doesn't even have to go on a leg. You can go on an arm.
I read it on
Okay.
the instructions that I think for this race, I'll double check, but I think it said that it has to be on our left leg.
Oh, they're like that specific with it.
Yeah, they were very specific of where you have to hold the
I think that's
hand.
primarily for the bike, and that's because you're going to be on the right side of the road. So when they're going past you as officials, they can see it on your leg.
Ah, gotcha.
I don't think
Oh.
that's going to be all that critical for swimming or running. But
Good point. Excellent point.
the funny
Okay.
thing is, the Ironman rule book does not have anything about relays in it.
Hmm.
They've got 64
Oh.
pages of a lot of thou shall nots, and including non-binary classes and physical challenge classes, things of that sort. But nothing in there mentions relays.
But they allow relay races.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it just surprises me that there's nothing in the rule book that says how to govern a relay race.
Do they have you know how like age groups and
Mhm.
different sex groups, they have championships and they have like, world
Mhm.
champion of blah blah blah. But it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like they have that for relays. Is that
As far as I know, that is true.
okay? So maybe I guess they just think it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the focus of Ironman is it grew out of Kona, the World Championships, and so everybody's trying to qualify for the World Championships. 70.3 now has a similar championship. They're trying to get people qualified for those. They don't have one for relay, and they obviously now have non-binary classes and physical challenge classes, but nothing in there for relay.
That's awesome. I love to hear that there are more categories. Let's
Yeah.
be inclusive and make it fair play.
Mhm.
Excellent.
I have another question.
Okay.
What about goggles? Is there a pair or like tinted versus non-tinted? Are there a difference between pool goggles and open water goggles?
For
How do
me,
you
there
prevent
is.
goggles from fogging up?
For me,
Okay.
there is a big difference between a pool goggle and an outdoor goggle. And first off, I wear prescription goggles. And you can get prescription goggles. They're sort of like buying goggles from the pharmacy where, okay, you have a -1 or a -2 or a -3 or something like that. And you can order goggles like that. And if you've got, in my case, a split vision between the two eyes, I order one of each and then just swap them within the goggles so that I have two.
Oh.
But it's like, my pool goggles and a pair of cheap Speedos or something like that might be $30. And all I need them for is to see the bottom of the pool and to see the clock. For my outdoor goggles, I'm spending money for improved optics and glare protection. Because you get a lot of glare coming off the water, particularly since the swim's the first event, the sun tends to be pretty low. You get a lot of glare. You can't see the
Okay.
boats, you can't see other people. So yeah, I'll use like and I just swam today. In the outdoor, I'm using a Sable optic. They're like $100 a pair,
Okay.
but they really cut down on the glare. So I do like that. They also tend to be a larger eye port because you're
Okay.
looking around a lot more when you're outdoor. You have to navigate, which in the pool you don't have to navigate.
Right. Okay, that's good information. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there like a strategy to use when going around buoys?
Yes, I mean, looking at the Frankfurt event that you're doing, it's counterclockwise. It's triangular shape, so you really only got two buoys you have to go around, and they're going to be
Okay.
large orange. They should have, or usually have, yellow ones in between those, just to guide you along your path. You can go either side of those, but you have to go on the outside of the large orange ones. Normally, the tighter you get in, where you're almost touching the buoy, there's a lot of people there, and there's a lot of contact. sometimes you just sit there and, okay, I won't take it that tight. I'll just be a couple of swimmers off. Maybe I'm 3 or 4 meters off of that buoy when I go around it because there's such a big scrum in the middle. You go by feel on those. The important thing is when you make that turn, make sure you're pointed at the next buoy. Sometimes you'll make the turn and then you start swimming and you don't sight for a while. And then you realize that, you're way off course.
Mm-hmm.
That's also important whenever you first push off from the lake or, from the beach. Make sure you're pointed where you want to go.
Okay.
Sighting, you have to sight constantly, which is something we usually have to practice in the pool.
Yeah.
How'd you go about that?
Throw a buoy or a water bottle or something at the end of your lane, and then push off, get in the middle of the pool, and start doing your sight. You're doing your reach out. In my case, I primarily breathe to the left. Look left. Take my breath, look forward, see if I can see my water bottle or whatever I've got to spot, and then come back down.
Okay.
The key is making sure you're looking at your water bottle, not the guy next, not the lane over.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you think you're looking ahead and you're actually looking off to the side. And then, you can tell that when if you're using a GPS tracker, when you do open water swims, you've got this big sweeping arc. That's because you're not looking where you're swimming. You're looking one direction and swimming the other direction. I just put a water bottle or something like that and see if I can see it. Maybe you start off with a kickboard. You've got a kickboard standing up against the blocks. Okay, can I see that? Okay, now can I see something smaller? And it's a practice, because the other thing is when you put your head up to look, your legs are sinking.
Everything sinks, right?
Yeah, so now you got to get that momentum back up and get back playing in the water.
That's how I swim.
That's how I swim too.
Okay.
Almost 50 years of running and cycling on my legs. Believe me, they're very dense. I do not plane out in the water. I'm head or tail first. I hit the bottom with a thud.
So when you're talking about sighting, one of the things that I struggled with in the past, I haven't done this in a while, but my goggles would fog up. Do you have any solutions for foggy goggles?
There's a couple sprays that I use I might use it the night before or an hour before, so make sure that it dries in the goggle. The other thing that's critical is do a warm-up swim. Get in the water, warm up, get your body at the temperature of the water, get comfortable with, getting that first cold water shock out of your system so you can breathe. And the goggles will start adjusting to that temperature as well. So then you can come out, you have time to clean out the goggles and everything and get in for the race. Usually that helps a lot. But there's a couple of different sprays, anti-fogging sprays. You look at any swim website, whether it's Aqua or Speedo or something like that, they'll have some sprays in there.
Okay.
I heard
again,
okay. I was always told to spit in your goggles. Is that not what you do?
No, you still, the spray works better than the spit.
Oh, okay.
But I don't you don't spray them like on the pool deck. And then you have all those chemicals floating around in the goggle, and then you put it on and it irritates
Put them on your eye. Yeah.
Right.
But like this morning, I jumped into the pool, and I still had to lick a finger and wipe out the inside of the goggles before I got in.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, spit in them. Yeah. I mean, Christine, you were on a high school swim team.
I was, yeah.
Okay, and you were using goggles. These are all things that you guys did, right?
Yes, but they were short races. So it didn't give them time to get foggy.
Okay. Yeah, high school didn't have the 1500, did they?
No, and I definitely wasn't swimming that.
You were doing all the sprints, weren't you, in high school?
Yeah.
Just like so Christine and I, we're several years apart, but one cool thing about high school for us is I was a senior and she was a freshman, and we got to run on the relays together in track. So we ran the 4x1 and the 4x2 together. So usually she would start the race and I would anchor the race. So we got some pretty fun experiences being on the same track teams, but yeah, very short distance.
Yeah, but you didn't have to argue with each other when you dropped the baton, because she wasn't passing it to you, you weren't passing it to her.
Nope.
He was a smart coach. He wouldn't put the two of you together.
Yeah, that was good. That was very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Christine,
Yes.
when you were on the swim team, what were your events?
I honestly don't remember a
You
lot.
did the butterfly.
I did do the
Yeah.
butterfly. I only swam 1 year. So I did the butterfly. I think I did it in a relay, and I did freestyle, and
Mhm.
I had an illegal kick on my breaststroke, but I got that straightened out now that I'm an adult.
Mhm.
But mostly like 50s and 100s. I didn't do a whole lot of much else.
Okay.
Reason you're asking that?
I was just trying to, get an idea whether she was the sprinter, or whether she was the distance, or whether she was, an IM swimmer or something like that.
Oh yeah. Sprint. We're mostly a sprint family. Colleen's
I'm the
got the
only distance
longer. Yeah,
Mhm.
Colleen can do both, but more long, like
Mhm.
middle to
Yeah.
long. And
Mhm.
Christine and I are sprinters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Christine and Cheryl were always faster. Like I was quick, but these two were always faster than I was, but I
I
could
could go
outrun
forever.
them.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
family of fast twitch muscles, and now we got to go to slow twitch muscles.
Yes. Yeah. So do you have any suggestions on like maintaining your excitement to not go out too fast, especially in the water? I mean, that could be really dangerous to like just go full out and then be dead partly through.
And sometimes you have to do that, just to get position in the water. With the way Ironman's running now, I mean, I was always doing wave starts. So, I'm going off the beach with, 100 or so, a couple hundred of my favorite competitors. And that was always a full contact sport in the first couple hundred yards until you found your place and found your pace. No different than running a marathon. Everybody's scattered all over the place for the first couple miles before they figure out where they want to go. That's one of the reasons I said do a warm up. Get in the water, get wet, get your face in the water, get used to breathing, so that when you get in the water and you have that first cold water shock, you don't go, oh, and all of a sudden your chest isn't expanding, you're not breathing. And then you have people running over you. That's, obviously creates a lot of issues. So get that warm up in first. The other thing is now they're doing basically a self-seated time trial start, where you're deciding where in that row you want to start, just like where you just like in a marathon or something like that, where you're figuring out where you want to be in the corral. Here you're figuring out where you want to be in the corral, and you're trying to figure out, okay, am I going to do this in 35 minutes or 40 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever, and figure out who you want to be around. And so you're usually going off about 2 at a time every couple seconds. So that helps string you out to
Not bad.
start with and minimize the
Wow.
contact and helps you pace. It's always best to be behind somebody who's just a little bit faster than you and draft off of them.
Okay.
So you're just, tickling toes, or pretty close to tickling toes. Which side do you primarily breathe on, left or right?
My right.
Okay. If this was a clockwise swim, I would say put yourself all the way on the left side. And the
Okay.
reason for
Why is
that
that?
is when you breathe, you can see the people next to you. And when, that makes the side you don't breathe to your blind side. You don't
Okay.
want anybody over there, because that's where the contact is going to come from. It's not going to come from the people you can see. It's from the people you can't see. So
Okay.
your strategy might be starting on the left side, so you can watch that person next to you that's on your right, because you're breathing to the right.
Okay. All right.
Good safety.
I have a swimming question
Okay.
as far as like etiquette in the water. I mean, I've done a few tries and it's nothing like crazy official or anything like that, but is there like an etiquette if you're a slower swimmer, or if you're a new swimmer, or if you're looking to pass, or I mean, I've been kicked in the chest, kicked in the face, all those things that everyone has when they've done an open water
Yes.
swim.
Yes.
Is there an etiquette that's supposed to be followed, or is it just like fend for yourself and stay out of the way?
Swimmers are the nicest, best people in the world outside of the water. But in the water, yeah, I've had people put their hand in the middle of my back and use me for traction.
Yeah, it's
Um,
insane.
the main thing is, and I love people like Team and Training and those organizations that are trying to get newbies into races and help them achieve their goals. But they're weak on teaching etiquette. And you can spot those people constantly in a race because they're always in the way. In the case of the swim, if you have to stop, if you have to make a momentary pause or something like that, get off the racing line. Go hide behind a buoy, or there's usually kayaks on the side. You can hold on to a kayak. If you need to take a break and grab a breather, change, fix something with goggles, you're allowed to grab the kayaks. You're just not allowed to advance your movement with them. So you can't have them tow you around. And I believe they're going to have a whole course lined. At least that's what I've heard from last year's event or this year's event, that there's plenty of kayaks out there if you need them. But and they're not going to advance you unless you're pulling out of the race, then they're dragging you back to the beach.
Gotcha.
So as far as other etiquette, I try not to be in the middle of the scrum. For me, I breathe primarily to my left. My right is my blind side. So if I'm staging for a race, I'm going to get all the way over on the right. I can watch everybody to my left. And that way, if I have an issue, I'm going to the right. I know there's nobody over there, and I can take care of whatever I need to take care of. In Ironman races, I would take nutrition in the swim. I would have a goo stuffed up the sleeve of my wetsuit. And then, you think about when you're doing a longer run or something, you think about taking your nutrition every 40, 45 minutes. Well, Ironman swim's going to take me an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. By the time I get out of the water, I'm in a nutritional deficit that I'm never going to recover for the rest of that race. So I would pull over to the side in the swim, pull out, or if we had an Aussie exit, which is you go up on a beach and then go back into the water, I would pull out that gel, chomp it down as fast as I can, shove it back up my wetsuit, and hit back and get back to swimming. So it's normally, if you have to pause or anything, get over on the side. If you're passing somebody, if you have the opportunity to tap their toes a couple times, most swimmers, pool swimmers know that, okay, you got a faster person behind you, you'll hold up at the next wall or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, you're just trying not to use people for traction. And the other thing with, I don't know how much experience you have with swimming in a wetsuit. It's very different than pool swimming.
Okay.
One, it gives you a lot of flotation. It tries to help plane you out because most of these, that's the purpose of most of these wetsuits, is they're trying to give you buoyancy. But they're also so thick, you can't bend your arm. You can't have this nice classic high elbow bend and sweep in. That's a lot of effort. So you end up doing a lot of basically straight arm recovery.
Okay.
Which means people are swinging out wide and they're smacking each other. If you did that in a pool, you did straight arm recovery in a pool, which, you're smacking the people next to you. They're in the opposite lane, or you're sharing your lane coming back the other way. You're hitting each other.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or getting caught in the lane line.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why one of the reasons you tend to have more contact when you're in a lake swim. That, and nobody swims straight. If there wasn't a line on the bottom of the pool, Phelps would have hit the wall. Nobody swims straight.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where you get back to practicing your sighting and constantly looking, practice every 6, 8, 10 strokes. You're taking that look up, okay, where am I going? Where am I going? And making that adjustment. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 in a row because way off course, I want to get back to where I want to be. Now you're in Oscoda, and yes, I'm very familiar with Oscoda. I'm one of those idiots that plays out the Air Force Base there with cars.
Okay.
So when you make the transition in the spring to, going from, starting your open water swims, is Cedar Lake or Van Elton Lake available to you?
They are, yep. And so is Lake Huron.
Yeah, but Lake Huron's got to surf. The other two lakes don't. So I would probably start off in one of those 2 lakes, and again, working on your sighting and things like that before you start dealing with the, you get comfortable there before you start dealing with the surf of Lake Huron. Okay. The other thing is you don't have a lot to sight on in Lake Huron.
Well, from pier to pier, it's 1 mile each way.
Okay.
So there's a pier to sight. And I know that the swim team, the varsity swim team, does that a few times throughout the summer. So I was going to hop in with them and go with their practice, so I wouldn't be out there alone.
That would be a great thing to do.
Mm.
When you do open water swim, do you have a swim buoy, or not a swim buoy, but like a Kiefer inflatable?
I don't. Is that something you recommend?
Very much so, for anytime you're doing open water swimming, because anything can happen. And at least this is something you're towing behind you, and you don't feel it. It doesn't get caught up in your feet or anything. But if you need it, or if you stop or something, or any, like I said, anything can happen, you have it there. It also has a dry bag in it. So if you need to carry things, if you need to carry your car keys, phone, some nutrition, things like that, you can put all that in the Kiefer. And
How do you
Kiefer's
spell that? Kiefer.
Keifer.
Kiefer.
Yeah, that's
Is
one
this
of the
something
brands.
that people in like during the race, during the Ironman, that they will wear as well, or no?
No, that is not, since it's a buoyancy device, it's not considered legal.
You had talked about goo and then you stuffed it back in your sleeve. Is there
Yes.
a penalty if you like your cap breaks and it gets left in the water, or your goo pack like is left in the water? Is there like a penalty, like a time penalty or something like that they would give you for
Well, I
littering
don't
or
know how
anything?
they assess, I don't know how they would assess it. I mean, it would be at the end of the swim, they might have a penalty tent, on your way into transition. Going to be, usually a yellow pop-up and say, okay, you don't have your cap, 30-second or 1 minute, whatever. You also have that on the bike. And I believe there's one on the run as well. There's two on the bike. There should be one mid-course and one right before you get into transition. And it's going to be the same as, soccer, you got a yellow card, you got a red card type of thing.
Mhm.
What
Okay.
other penalties would there be for the bike and the run?
Oh, for the bike, it's drafting, drafting
Okay.
and positioning. So one is drafting and two is positioning yourself far enough off, off the right side of the road that other bikes can't pass where you're blocking them.
Okay.
So those are the two big penalties on the bike.
And for the run?
Littering,
Okay.
and this is also on the bike where you have a zone, both before and after an aid station where you can discard water bottles, discard, goo packets and whatever. And it'll be before and after the aid station, it'll be marked. And, you don't throw anything outside of that. Otherwise
Gotcha.
it's considered littering, and that's a couple second penalty or a couple minute penalty.
Okay.
Do you know how many meters you have to be for the bike away from?
I believe it's 10. I mean, the pros have 12,
Okay.
but it's one of those things where the faster you're going, the more the draft benefits you, so you have to be further back. So pros now, it's like 12 meters and offset. At Kona, they used to use the white lines on the road and said you have to be outside of one length of a white line of the dotted lines on the road. Now what they're doing for the pros is they have a light system that goes on under your saddle on the bike, and a sensor that you put on the front fork of your bike. And so it senses when you get close to another bike. So it'll be green, and then yellow says, okay, you're getting close to the draft zone. You have to stay out of that. And then it's red, you're in the draft zone. Once you're in the draft zone, you have, I believe it's 30 seconds to pass. You can't go into the draft zone and then back out. And once you get into that draft zone, you have to commit to the pass.
Okay.
And it kind of gets waived on hills. There's only 2 hills worthy of that on the bike course. They're only 6% grade, I believe. Because everybody tends to scatter in different directions going up a hill. But that's what the pros use. For the amateurs, you will see and hear motorcycles, riding by you, and they might be using electrics now with, one rider and then an official in the back sitting there with a radio and a clipboard, writing things down. Ironman, since you're racing for position, if you're going for qualifying spots, they do their penalties on course. That's why they have the pop-up tents in the penalty areas. They'll be expecting you.
I see.
It's like you pull in, they say, okay, you got a 2-minute penalty. They hand you a stopwatch that's counting down from 2 minutes. As soon as that goes green, you hand it back to them and take off. Now, other sanctioning bodies, it's a time penalty added at the end of the race. USA Triathlon's like that, and Rev 3 and Challenge were like that, which is kind of disappointing when you finish the race and you go to the award ceremony, and that's where you find out you got 15 minutes of penalties that you weren't aware of.
Whoops.
Seen it
Okay.
happen. I've been a victim of it. Still don't know why I got 6 minutes of penalties at a Rev 3 Cedar Point. Still to this day, don't know why.
Wow.
That's frustrating.
All right.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Christine.
Christine on the swim, water temperatures. Usually by that time of year, it's still in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Wetsuit time.
Okay.
Anything under mid 70s. I think it's 76 or 78. I think Ironman is 76. Anything under 76, you can wear a wetsuit.
Okay.
Huge benefit.
Okay.
And you'll want to train with that wetsuit, I would assume, because just
Oh, yeah.
as you were mentioning, like you don't have that high pull.
Yeah.
You're coming through with a straight arm, and I remember my shoulders were burning. I trained in it, but it was still
Yeah.
it's exhausting.
Yeah. It's also, if it's too tight, you won't be able to breathe.
Yeah.
I've tried other wetsuits on where, hey, yeah, I'm nice and aqua dynamic. It's got got a nice flow to it, but I can't breathe. I turn my head to let air in, and it's just extremely tiring, to be able to get air in. So that was a fail.
Okay.
So other things, double cap.
Okay.
Because they're going to just give you. I brought props. They're just going to give you this cheap, thin little cap, right?
Yep.
This doesn't give you any heat absorption at all. So, you probably have some good silicone hat caps, those
Yep.
nice thick ones.
Yep.
Put that on, put this over top of it. Or if you're
Okay.
really that cold, they make neoprene caps
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
with a strap. So you can put that on and put the cap, put the Ironman cap on over top of it. The only thing they require is that this is over top of whatever other cap you're wearing. This is, this is the visible thing.
Okay.
And they're usually doing different colors for different age groups or genders or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
They decide that at each individual on that.
Okay.
So again, we have props.
All right. Awesome. Is there anything else that you would say I should completely avoid or make sure I for sure do that? I understand the warm up beforehand.
Mhm.
Is there anything else?
There's one thing that people don't recognize that I saw all the time, I've experienced, is when you're swimming long distance in a race, you've been prone, you've been horizontal for the 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes, whatever it's going to take you to swim. Now you get to the beach, you've been using your arms like crazy, probably not using your legs very much. All your blood's in your chest and your shoulders and your arms. You go to stand up. Where's all that blood go? Right down to your legs. And it comes out of your head. And you get vertigo.
Okay.
And you're just like, you're standing up. You don't know where you're at. Where's my route here? Where's the bike? Where's Cheryl at? What road do I go in? Things like that. It becomes very confusing. So the two things there is, as you're finishing the swim, you're 100, 150 yards out, something like that. Go to the legs, go to your kick. Get that blood flowing into your legs so that when you stand up, one, there's blood already in your legs, so you have the strength to stand up. And two, you don't get this vertigo.
Would it be beneficial to flip on my back and do some backstroke so it's not all in the front? Would that help at all, you think, or not necessarily?
No, I don't think so, because at that point you go to backstroke. Backstroke and open
don't
water,
really-
backstroke in an outdoor pool, you have no sighting. You have no idea.
Right.
So
it was just a thought that popped into my head. So I don't know.
And I agree with it. No, I've had best success with, how many times I've screwed that up with just going to the kick and getting my kick going so that I can, when I stand up and get out of the water. And it's also something you end up practicing. So if you're swimming, from pier to pier, go to the beach, stand up on the beach and go run along the beach a little bit. And, experience that transition and see what, changes you have to make for it.
Okay.
So
the other thing,
Christine will have to kind of run uphill toward
Yes.
the transition. Yes. So
Yeah.
that'll be like extra exertion as well.
Yes. Yeah. You're always, remember, water goes downhill, so you're always running uphill. But also the night before or the morning of the race, I always did my walkthroughs. Start down at the beach. I'm running up through. Okay. I'm going, turns over here, 3 rows down. I'm going up on that tree. My bike is right here. And then the bike's going here, Cheryl's going here. Okay, I've got to go down here. As you're coming back in from transition, know where your mount and your dismount lines are.
Okay.
Get my dismount, dismount done here, both feet on the ground, running in. Okay, 2 rows down here. That's where Colleen's going to be waiting for me. And each you have to do those walkthroughs because you can't think when you're exerted, when you're beating yourselves up to the limit you are. But you're training in just those walkthroughs, it becomes natural. Now you know where you're going. Because the transition here is going to be a series of long rows of bicycles. Which row are you going? Do you know?
Yeah.
And you can't use a reference of somebody else's bike or something like that. Okay, I'm hitting this row. Oh, they're numbered by bib numbers. What's my bib number? I don't know. I can't read my own, you honestly can't remember these things in the middle of battle.
Yeah, walkthrough sounds like it's going to be really, really critical.
Yeah.
And to kind of sum it up for Christine, it sounds like, I mean, when we talk to Chris, you have a number of things you need to check off to practice, Christine. You gotta like know where you're going. You gotta pee first. So
Pee in the wetsuit. Pee in the wetsuit.
Pee in the
I know a
wetsuit.
lot of girls pee in the
You gotta-
wetsuit just to stay warm.
pee in the wetsuit. You gotta get the blood to your legs. You gotta figure out where I am. You have some responsibilities.
Running uphill with no blood in my legs.
Yeah.
I know.
Like I said, these are all things that I've experienced. I mean, I started racing in college in the mid 80s. Long before triathlon was really a known sport, the only thing you had was Ironman. Long before it was an Olympic sport. So we had a lot of learning to do back then. There were no time trial bikes, there was no gear for it, no apparel. Everybody's racing in their swimsuits and getting chafed like crazy and things of that sort. So the sport has come a long way.
Is there chafing that I should be aware of with wearing a wetsuit? Because I
Yes.
don't have any experience with that.
Yeah, primarily around your neck. Put body glide all the way around your neck.
Okay.
And maybe under your armpits, because your neck gets chafed because you're turning your head to breathe.
Okay.
That makes sense. I didn't think of
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Oh.
Thank you.
Now, if you were doing the full event, you had to get that wetsuit off fast. Then there's different strategies on where to put the body glide, and I would actually lubricate the outside of the wetsuit, both the arms and the legs, because they have to slide over each other. By the time you get the wetsuit off, it's inside out. So it's got to slide over itself. So that's where I would use like a spray body glide and literally spray down the sleeves and the legs of the wetsuit. And that's something else that you end up practicing is how to get out of the wetsuit quickly.
Good thing you won't have to do it quickly.
No, I won't have to do it quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So talking about the transition, so Christine's running uphill with no blood in her legs. She's coming
On the
to meet
sand,
me.
yes.
Covered in body glide.
Over here, body glide, all around the neck. Trying to get anyways, she's gonna transition. She's gonna have to bend over, so blood's gonna go to her head to get the transponder. She's gonna hand it to me, yes.
Yes, I believe
And then
so.
where
I don't know if she hands it to you or whether she straps her. If somebody's down on the ground, and I don't think Colleen can participate in this because it's one-on-one.
Okay.
So you can't. It's not like we can use Colleen to take the strap off of one person and put it on the other. There's not enough room in the transition area for that.
I just want to help, guys. I want something to do before I have to run.
right?
Your important thing is to stay fresh and ready to go for the run. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like a swim meet where you have to manage your energy. Because if you're swimming the last 2 races of the day, you have to know what you're doing. I liked Chris, when she talked about, having to manage that energy and that enthusiasm and be ready to go, toward the end of the day when it's your turn to compete.
Do you have any suggestions for Colleen? Because that was something that we talked about off camera. Like she was like, "How am I going to do this all day?"
You don't. You sit there up on the berm and you watch the transitions, and it's like, okay, fine. And then you'll ride by probably every half hour, 45 minutes. Okay, there she is. Otherwise, she's managing the kids. She's having something to eat. She's staying low. She's staying out of the sun. And then
so she doesn't have to stay in the transition the whole time. She can be out doing her thing, and then
as far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
And then really probably about an hour before you think Cheryl's going to come in, that's when you start doing your warm up, start getting your brain in, get your last of your initial nutrition in, and then you start getting ready for your race. I wouldn't put any brain cells into it before that. It's not going to be productive. It's that art of bringing your brain into the game and then bringing it back down. You don't have to bring it into the game until later in the day. So it's no different than having a night soccer game. When do you get ready for a night soccer game? About an hour before the game.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
Extra time to warm up.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, Christine and I will not dilly-dally, and Colleen won't have to wait too long. Hopefully, we
Yeah.
won't come close to any of the cutoffs.
Yeah, and since the transition rules for relays are not in the rule book, this is all going to be discussed in the competitors' meetings the night before, the day
The
before. There's
walkthrough.
probably going to be 2 of them because there's so many people. Yeah, and obviously all 3 of you really want to go to those.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I heard from this year's event, which I wasn't at, unfortunately, I was supposed to be there. They didn't even mention relays in the competitor meeting. So somebody questioned that, and basically they had a huddle on the side of the stage afterwards to explain what the relays were going to do.
Okay. Have you heard any feedback from former competitors about like transition? Like, can I touch the bike before Christine gets to me? Do I have to meet Christine at a certain spot and then go to my bike? That's it for Sisters Before Blisters. If you've enjoyed hanging out with us, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And drop us a comment with what resonated with you today. Also, share this with someone who needs a push to try something new. There's nothing like trying something completely out of your comfort zone to remind you what you're made of. Until next time, keep chafing the dream.